All right, Chelsea are fully back, and so am I. All right, everyone, welcome back after a long break to the American Blues podcast. Lots of stuff happened in the last few months. Really just too much work, too tired, too many trips. So decided to take a break. I wanted to just enjoy the games as a fan. But man, what a time to come back. There's so much to discuss from the end of the season, our crunch time, having to win the last few games, beating Newcastle. Oh, my goodness. And then, of course, winning the Conference League, all those good things. But you know what? I have to give credit to the team. At the beginning of the Club World Cup, I kind of made fun of the competition. I didn't think too much of it. But then as we went on, I was like, man, I think we might have a shot. I'm going to have to start taking this more seriously. And then just each win got more and more enjoyable. And of course, the last one against PSG. I can't stand PSG. Of course, they came in best team on the planet. There were debates over, are they the best team ever? Please, not even close. Future Ballon d'Or winner, Dembele. No clue how he found his form after leaving Barcelona. But yeah, against all odds, and with every single reporter being so disrespectful to Chelsea in the lead up to the game. So many interviews asking, hey, you guys have no chance. What do you feel? How do you think? How do you think you're going to do? Everyone thinks you're going to lose. And you know what? I think Levi Colwell gave the best answer, which was, well, if everyone thinks we're going to lose, then we got nothing to lose. So lo and behold, from minute 1 till really 45, because then the game was done. It was essentially done after 45 minutes. But for 45 minutes, Chelsea played the best football I have seen. Oh, man. I can't remember the last time we played that well. Against such a good opposition too. The previous huge wins, both Champions Leagues, we were just backs against the wall. Huge underdogs. We just defend, counter. But no, this time we took it to PSG. We got in their face. We pressed the shit out of them. And they looked like they had no idea what to do. And by the time they even woke up from the game, it was already too late. So yeah, I think this was one of the greatest Chelsea performances I have ever seen in 20 years. And the Mourinho teams where we completely dominated in the 2000s, they felt different. Those were like defend, get our 1 goal, get our 2 goals, and then just close up shop. But this one was just high intensity, pressing, just, man, incredible to watch. I could not believe what I was watching during the first half. But of course, credit where credit is due. Enzo Maresca, my goodness. So many times throughout the past season, started off really well. And then midway through the season, we started to fall behind. And even I started to question tactics. Why play Reece James on the side? We are so predictable. We're so slow in build up, but not this game. This game, he put Mal Gusto high on the right side as an overlapping, basically a wing back. And then Reece James in the middle covering ground. And Caicedo, Enzo in a 3 in midfield. Amazing job. And that freed up enough space for Cole Palmer to do his thing, which is be on the right side, drive into the box, make something happen. And that's exactly what happened. And I think every single player in that starting lineup deserves a 10 out of 10 performance. I have no complaints. I saw no flaws. There was nothing. And it just felt so good. It felt so good after so many years of just being down in the dumps, watching like the worst team I've ever seen in being a Chelsea fan. Just having the entire football world just laugh at us constantly, saying we have too many players. Having Carragher say, who wants to join that team? There's no room. Having Gary Neville come out and say, billion, what did he say? It was like £1 billion blue bottle job, something like that. But you know what? Where are all the comments now? Where are all the comments now? I haven't seen Carragher say anything. I haven't seen Gary Neville say anything. That's because they can't say anything, because that performance was truly incredible. And of course, who showed up? Cole Palmer. Everyone said he was finished. He was a one-season wonder. He's getting predictable, but my God, does this kid love finals. And you know what? Finals is where the truly great players step up. And just the amount of space that PSG gave him to run free on that right side was insane. First goal, Robert Sanchez almost got closed down, hit an incredible long-range pass out to Gusto, who pressured the defender so much that he ended up making a mistake, letting Gusto run into the goal on his own. And I thought Gusto was going to shoot and score. Didn't happen, but thankfully the bounce back came right back to him, and he saw Cole Palmer was open. And he faked a little dummy and then just passed it into the corner. And Donnarumma, 6'6", could do absolutely nothing about that goal. It wasn't hit hard, but just the accuracy. Nothing he could have done. First goal. Second goal, same thing. Nearly the exact same thing. Cole Palmer on the right side, running through on his own. And then what I want to credit is João Pedro. He made a lung-busting sprint down the outside, and that was just enough to put the defender off. And I want to say this. This is so different than what Jackson offers. When Jackson makes runs, defenders don't really follow as much because they know he's not going to be a goal threat in that box. But João Pedro, my goodness, this kid, he was just on vacation in Brazil just like 4 weeks ago. Hired a personal trainer because he knew Chelsea were coming and he wanted to be ready to play. Like, that is impressive. He was ready to go, and that speaks volumes about this player. And my God, his goals, man, I have not seen a player strike a ball that clean, that pure from one of our strikers pretty much since Diego Costa. And so now PSG defenders already know when he's sprinting, he's going to be a danger. And that just put off the guy who's marking Cole Palmer just enough to free up Palmer to make a run in the box. And at that point, the other two defenders could do nothing. They were already planted. Their legs were on the ground. They couldn't follow him. And all he had to do was do a little bit of shimmy, put the goalie off, and again, pass it into the corner. Goal number 2 in dreamland. But never would I have thought goal number 3 in the first half. Again, I think it was a James Reese to Cole Palmer on the right side. Again, still so much space. And this time, Palmer was able to find João Pedro, who put a chip over probably the best goalkeeper, one or two, between him and Courtois, one of the two best goalies on the planet right now, who's 6'6", and he chipped him to score a goal. João Pedro, I have to say, man, I have given so much shit. Everyone has given so much shit to our sporting directors, asking them to leave, asking that our recruitment has been terrible. But my God, did they just unearth the striker that we've been waiting for? I thought we got the striker we needed with Delap. But he's still young, he's still raw, but you can see his talent. You can see why we signed him. But my God, man, João Pedro, this guy is ruthless. He is clinical, and he is absolutely everything that Jackson has been unable to do for the past 3 seasons. He can come back and get the ball like Jackson does. He can lay it off like Jackson does. He can make the runs that Jackson makes. And most of all, he can finish. I think he's only had, 3 or 4 shots in the whole Club World Cup, and he's got 3 goals, 3 huge goals. And after that, game was done. Second half, of course, it was hot, in Jersey. There was no way we could press like that for 90 minutes. Like, our players would have all been injured or have died. So, there were moments for PSG to come back, and I have to give credit to Robert Sanchez. We always say he's really good with his hands. He's just not very good with his feet or his decision making. But he was, I would say, 10 out of 10 performance this game. Whole game until the very end when it didn't really matter. But let's just say whole game, he was aggressive and coming out whenever he needed to be. He was strong in the air collecting crosses. I think he collected every single cross that he could, that we expected him to. And of course, he made some ridiculous saves, just absolutely ridiculous saves. In the first half, he had one against Barcola that was low to the right, where he got down really quick, strong hands, pushed it wide. But the most impressive one was against Dembele. When Dembele was open, somehow got his foot on the ball, and it was point blank, and he still was able to get down and palm it across the goal and out for a corner. these moments are huge. And then there was another moment in the first half where it was Cucurella. It was 2-on-1 against the goalie, and Cucurella just gambled, but it was lucky. But it was also the correct decision. Instead of trying to block the shot, he cut off the pass because he felt like the pass was coming, and the pass came directly to him. That moment would have changed the game completely. If we had let go goal, then we would have been down 0-1. And that would have been completely different because then, our plan's kind of out the window. We were having to go up even more. But yeah, Cucurella, incredible. And what I want to say is this team is showing spirit, is showing togetherness. Every single player was just a 110% committed to this plan today. We pressed as a unit. We defended as a unit. Every single time Trevor Chelesa came out or Cole stepped up, Caicedo would step back, Enzo would step back. Reece James would step back in the defense to cover each other. And I want to give another shout out to Pedro Neto. This guy, man, he knew the game plan was to attack on the right side. So he sacrificed his own attack to basically become another defender on that left side, constantly running up and down, helping out Cucurella against Hakimi and against Dembele, two of the best players in the world right now. And honestly, those two guys did nothing. And what I like the most about this team is we frustrated the hell out of PSG. You could tell as the game went on, they got angrier and angrier. And I think every single team needs a player who's just willing to get in your face, to push your opponents around, piss them off, knock them off their game, have them lose their cool. And Cucurella does that so well, faking an injury. I think it was João Neves. He tried to pick him up and he still just rolled around the ground, pissed him off so much that later in the game, when he just accidentally bumped into him, well, actually it wasn't an accident. He fully knew what he was doing, bumped into him, and João Neves got so frustrated, pulled his hair. And unlike the Tottenham game from 2 years ago, where Cucurella has hair pulled, and they didn't call it, fucking Anthony Taylor, they did the right thing, reviewed it, violent conduct, straight red card, out. Player had absolutely no complaints, lost his cool. And even after the game, Lucho lost his cool. He got into a fight with João Pedro and tried to choke him. Not a very good look for a manager, but just the whole PSG team lost their composure. I think one of the defenders had just a wild scissor kick challenge, like a leg breaking challenge at Nkunku at the end of the game too. That was just crazy that he did that. And thank God Nkunku didn't actually get injured from that, because that was a nasty challenge. And you could tell he just did it because he was just over the game. He was so over not knowing who to mark, being unable to get on the ball. Yeah. And then, of course, I think Lian Delap must be the best person to bring on when another team is already frustrated, because he reminds me of Costa in that he'll get in your face. He'll constantly push you around. On that one corner kick where they were getting ready, he pushed the defender so much that Donnarumma came out and got into like a verbal argument with him. But, he's just doing his thing. He's like, get off of me. But what I like about Delap the most is that he's willing to fight. He enjoys that fight. He enjoys getting onto the backs of defenders. He enjoys shoving them around, letting them know that he's there. And if not for a slightly poor finishing, like first shot he came on, incredible, like 30-yard attempt, made Donnarumma dive to the left, world-class save. Second one, probably could have done a little bit better. Tried to put it through his legs. Donnarumma, great save. But still, you can see the talent. You can see why we got him. And you can see that he is, again, still a completely different profile to João Pedro and to Jackson. So, yeah, this team, I feel like we are finally getting close to being complete. And that's a crazy thing to say when we just put up that kind of performance against the best team in the world, that we could still probably use a few more pieces. But, we will see what happens. But yeah, and even when Enzo went down, no problem. Andre Santos coming in, I had absolutely no doubts that he could fill his shoes, because over the whole Club World Cup, every time he's come on, he's been extremely solid. I think like 8 or 9 out of 10. Similar to Caicedo, like he'll rarely make that like amazing game-winning play, but he is consistent in what he does. He can get the ball, he can turn, he can pass it forward, he can defend, he can cover space. He basically does every single thing that he needs to do in that midfield. And we didn't have Lavia. That's the crazy thing. We didn't have Lavia. Imagine if we had Lavia and Caicedo Enzo. Oh my God. Man, that midfield would have been insane. But yeah, what an incredible game. What an incredible performance. And yeah, now we get to say we are world champions. We are the first world champions under this new format for the next 4 years. 4 years we get to wear a gold crest on our jersey, and you bet your ass I'm gonna get myself one of those new jerseys whenever they release it, because I cannot wait to show that shit off for the next 4 years and just be as obnoxious as possible. Man, what an incredible run. What an incredible season. And honestly, at this point, I think the entire world of football should be paying attention to what Chelsea are doing. Yes, we've spent a lot, $2 billion. But you know what? People never seem to mention we sell a lot. We don't sell as much as we buy, but we certainly sell players for a hefty fee. Sometimes not justified, but we are somehow able to do that and keep ourselves going. So as long as we're doing that and we're playing within the rules that are set currently, I see no problems with it. And speaking of selling, can you imagine being Madueke joining Arsenal just 2 days before the final, before we get a brand new trophy that he would have got, by the way, because he played a role in the Club World Cup. He played a role. It's just got to be the most Arsenal move ever. But you know what? Good luck to you, Madueke. I think you're a good player. I don't think you're a fantastic player, but I think, man, you have just loads of talent. And if you can channel that talent and you can become consistent, you're going to become an incredible winger. And hopefully that does not happen, because we will end up regretting that. But still, I think for now, getting £52 million for a player who's still very raw, who's still very inconsistent, but loads of talent, I think that's a fair price. Especially to a local rival. And especially when they already have Saka, and we know Madueke doesn't play well on the left. Like, he got, 0 goals this whole season playing on the left. So he needs to play on the right, and unfortunately, he's not better than Saka. So from an Arsenal standpoint, £52 million for a backup to Saka, sure, maybe that makes sense if that's the hump that they need in order to win the trophy or the title, just because, last year they were fine until they started getting a lot of injuries, and then they essentially had no backup. So I get what they're doing in the transfer window. They needed a striker. They got the striker, and they got important backups in Zubamendi. So, they're putting pieces together too. But yeah, last thing I want to say is, going forward, this win will definitely get a lot of people's attention. And with attention also comes expectations. Our team, we cannot go into this season saying, oh, we're not title contenders. Oh, we're not top 4 contenders. No. We are. It just so happens that every other title contender also strengthened this summer. We have City, we have Liverpool, we have Arsenal. I think it's going to be a absolutely crazy 4-way race for the title this season. So who knows what's going to happen. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to stay consistent and to win the amount of games necessary to beat those other 3 teams. Because I think the team that wins is going to have to be near perfect. Kind of similar to when Liverpool and City were just going at it with each other, getting 100 plus points, maybe only dropping 1 or 2 games this season. That is a tough ask, especially for a young team. Our average age for the Club World Cup final is just 24 years old. That is a hard thing to ask a 24-year-old team to do, is stay consistent through a whole season. But that is the goal, and that's what we need to aim for. And certainly that's what we need to go into the season thinking about. I want the preseason meetings to be, hey, we are going for the title. Sure, we might not get it, but we are absolutely going into the mindset of we can win this title, because we just thoroughly beat the best team on the planet. And if we can do that, honestly, we can do anything. Now, my only worry is that because of this Club World Cup run, we only have 3 weeks off. Yes, we have a huge squad, but they barely have any rest. These players are tired. So against, in another, 70 plus game season where we're expected to drop very little points in the Premier League, I think it's going to be tough for everyone to stay fit and to stay focused and concentrated and not just gas out by the end of the season. But who knows? I think if Maresca rotates well, and right now we certainly have the players to rotate well through the season, then we might be good. And let's not forget, we still have Estevao Willian coming. He hasn't even played with this team. Can you imagine him on that right wing? Holy shit, I cannot wait because that kid has been crazy good. You can see why we paid for him. That goal that he scored against us, unbelievable. I couldn't even believe he attempted the shot from that angle, let alone score it. And I don't even know where the power comes from that shot. Like he just rifled it past Sanchez at a tight, near, crossbar angle, like side post angle. There's no reason for him to hit that shot, and there was even little less reason for him to make that shot. So yeah, I cannot wait for this season. I think it's going to be incredible. I don't know if we have any more incomings. I still think, despite everything, we need a goalie who can stay consistently good throughout a whole season and not make mistakes. And I still think a experienced defender would be tremendously helpful. But you know what? As we are right now, if we went into the season with this current team, I'd be fine with it because we got what we wanted in our strikers. We have Estevao coming. We finally have a midfield between Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia, James, and Santos. I think we have the best midfield in all of Europe. I don't think there's a single midfield that can play better than and that can complement each other too better than those 5 players can. And Reece James isn't even a true midfielder. So if you just count the other 4, that's fine. But I think between those 4, we have enough midfielders to rotate throughout the season. So we're not overloading Caicedo or Enzo. And hopefully Lavia can stay healthy too. So yeah, so we'll see. Super excited. 3 weeks off, then preseason, and then in just a little over a month, Premier League is back, baby. And I cannot wait. So see you guys then. Peace.